Hey guys, we are back again with another episode of Dynasty Queens. I'm your host, Pamela Nicole, and I've got my lovely co-host.
It's me and Jay, baby.
Man, what a year it's been, huh? Just a year
Yeah.
already. 2 months in, and it is, for a lack of a better word, interesting, right?
So interesting, girl. I can agree. It's like, damn, we're barely in February and all kind of stuff has hit the fan.
People upset about XYZ, this and that, and it's just it's going to be an interesting 4 years. That's all I'm going to say. But you know what? Let's just start off and let's talk about this past weekend. Can we just talk about this Super Bowl halftime show?
Girl, let's get into it.
Yes, petty. There's only one word, just petty. Now, my question to you. I know you saw that halftime show. I know all of y'all saw that halftime show. My question is, what is going to be the next part of this saga? Like, what is Drake's response going to be? I wonder. What do you think?
When it comes to the overall picture about the new America, I could care less what Drake is going to say. I'm really focused on Kendrick because I feel that what he did Sunday was so necessary for the culture, so necessary for the cause, because we are in a new day and age. Drake can have several seats. I'm Team Kendrick all day. I'm Team Kendrick because the bottom line is that there was such a political statement, whether you agree with what he was doing or not. I mean, for Christ's sake, Uncle Sam was Samuel L. Jackson. It don't get more clearer than that, right? The message is being delivered. And I just think that in today's day and age, people are fed up. They're tired of the BS. Regardless of which way you swing, people just don't have faith in our leaders. Regardless, there was something people had to say about Obama. People had stuff to say about Biden, Trump, whatever side of the spectrum you fall on. Are we able to trust these politicians 100%, or is there always a hidden agenda? And I just feel like today's culture, like our millennial age, as we become, of age closer to 40, geriatric millennials already in their mid 40s, like understanding, hey, we have to be able to control our own destiny and our own future.
Amen, sis. Amen. You know what's crazy too? Like, right when everything was coming in with the Trump administration and everything, what I really found was interesting was, like we've talked about in several episodes, like this is a day and age, this is a digital age. This is where people are making their money. People aren't 9 to 5s anymore. So with the TikTok ban, you saw an uproar. You saw all the creatives come together and it's like, oh, shit, like what are we gonna do? You know what I mean? It's almost, to me, it seemed like we regressed in a second. In that moment in time with the band, everybody kind of regressed back like 10, 15 years. And it's like, holy shit, what are we gonna do? How do we get back into the job market where, we have someone we have to report to? And I think of like the political agenda that way. You know what I mean? It's almost in a sense like we're supposed to report to somebody. You know what I mean? Even though we might have like our own independent thoughts and everything, I look at it and that really in that moment for me, that kind of solidified like, oh shit,
Right. Exactly. It's a crying of a generation because honestly, a lot of us have seen our elders and the image that our elders thought they would have with, the white picket fence and being able to travel the world when they're in their 60s and do all this great stuff. A lot of people are not able to because they simply were not taught how to invest their money. They weren't taught how to save their money properly. Stuff like that is not and is never and never has been taught in schools unless you take like a focused, class like in college on, finances and stuff like that. Besides that, they do not teach you that in grade school. At least not when I was in school. They taught us cursive handwriting, how to tell the time, a lot of math shit that I'm probably never going to use, and just a lot of stuff that is not fundamental to what an adult in society, regardless of what country you live in, what an adult needs. I don't know like what the other school systems have going on, but I just feel like there's so much more that can be done. It does start there. And ultimately, I think that people in power do want to have some type of control over what is shown through social media and content. Like that's the whole reasoning behind the TikTok ban, But yes, if that goes through, that could displace people from their employment. A lot of people monetize and make money off of social media and off of online, platforms. So that would just be really detrimental to the culture because we're moving forward.
Definitely. And the other thing that just kind of like it doesn't make sense to me is, they have all these other apps. It's like, oh, let's join this one. Let's do this because we don't want to support a Chinese made app when
Right.
the new stuff is Chinese made. So it's just, it doesn't make sense to me. You know what I'm saying? And you brought up a really good point too, Nia. As far as like what we learned in school, how we, the math and like all that stuff. I'm a history buff. You know this. Most of y'all that listen to the podcast, y'all know I'm a big history buff. But y'all go on Google Maps. I showed Nia this today. You go on Google Maps and you look at the United States of America. You go down south, you look right there at the Gulf of what has it always been?
Gulf of America.
It's the Gulf of America. And it is plain as day on the thing, Gulf of America. That really did happen.
Right.
And like I told you earlier, it's like a rewriting history. You know what I'm saying? Like there was so much that went into why they call the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of Mexico. And now just kind of like eradicate that just because you don't like the way that sounds or it's not American enough for you is wild, diabolical even, because think of all the literature you have to go back and replace, like
right, exactly. Or I guess it's like a rebranding, but the thing about it is Google Maps change it here in America. So if you're in Canada, if you're in, another foreign land, it will say the Gulf of Mexico. So I don't know. Is it really been changed or is it just to appease, current administration or is it going to go back once, because this would be his final 4 years, will it revert back once his administration leaves office? So girl, I have as many questions as you. It's, it's different. It's almost giving like, when certain states kind of remove themselves from the union during slavery, it's almost giving that. It's like, no, this is, what we're standing for. So, regardless, I feel it's going to cause a lot of chaos and confusion. But I also feel that people didn't believe everything that, was said. People chose to vote who they voted for. And now things are actually happening, like I feel like every 30 to 40 years, there's this huge tide where people feel a calling to stand together and try to make a difference. But I don't know if, it'll ever be just a level playing field or if anybody will ever be happy because there's always going to be something controversial. And renaming the Gulf, that's wild. That's crazy.
It's a huge thing. You know what? I will say this. Like my political views is my political views, but the one thing I will say I do respect about said leader is he said what he said and he did what he said.
Yeah, absolutely.
Business, and a lot of times you can't really always rely on leadership to just, they'll say this, politics, that political people, they say this, they say that to try to, get you in. But this man actually came in and like, here's the platter, I'm serving it.
Exactly. Like immediately, girl, like literally his first day, he was putting the laws that he said he was going to implement into place. And I guess people thought it was a joke, ICE is not playing, deportations are happening. It's all kind of stuff that's taking place. So I feel like going back to what we were talking about earlier, I feel like, yes, we know the Kendrick Lamar song was initially a diss track, but there's so much more value to him as an artist and to his performance at the Super Bowl than just a diss track. But how clever of him to hide all of that behind a diss track. That was brilliant because people understand the real message. Like, oh, okay, that was cute. Drake, whatever. He's the scapegoat. But let's talk about the real issue. And a Kendrick is a rebellious artist. He really is. But he's accepted by the masses. So he knows how to play that fine line, and it just works for him. It doesn't work for all rappers or all artists, but it works for him.
And you know what, to add on to what you said, we are so used to political propaganda and everything. That was musical propaganda, like you said. Like, I had to explain to my parents, like, they didn't understand any of what happened. I'm like, listen, like, let me break this down two ways and explain to you what's going on. Because, the boomer generation, that went way over their head. They didn't understand a lick of what happened at the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? So that performance wasn't for them. That performance was for the present, for the future, and everything else right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel that at the end of the day, people are tired of marching and, and kumbaya and, just kind of doing enough to get by. A lot of people in this generation and younger, they are like, what in the hell has been happening for the past 150 years? We really need to shake something up. And the audacity of certain folks to think that they're entitled to stuff for whatever reason because of race, or religion or, power or status. A lot of the masses are like, how dare we even think of such a thing? And that brings me to someone who's really hot in the headlines, Luigi Mangione. Some people view him as a savior for the people, like down with the people. Some view him as a narcissistic sociopath. Mm-hmm. So let's get into this guy.
For sure.
So we know the basics, right? The basic facts. Like, he killed the CEO of United Healthcare. We saw the video footage. He walked up to the man, put one right in the back of his head, fled the scene on a bicycle, was later discovered, yada, yada, yada. People love his look. They love the story. They love the fact that he came from money and was privileged and is still down with the people. So it's a lot of reasons that people support him. And then others are like, what in the world is wrong with y'all? He killed this man. Like, this man is just a puppet in place at a job position. He wanted a job title, and he's not the one who's overcharging cancer patients. How do you feel about this whole situation and how he has become like a social figure in today's, radical age?
I have, they did a segment on the background of why he did what he did, right? And talked a lot about his mom and, her illnesses and how he had to literally watch her deteriorate, and that struck me because I'm in the same position. I have to watch the same situation. You know what I mean? It's touchy because it's when you're a caregiver and you're watching shit just unfold daily and things are just not getting better, and you're trying to get the best doctors, you're trying to get the best treatment, right, and you keep getting turned away.
Yes.
Where your loved one keeps getting turned away, I understand this man's frustration. I understand that, you feel you're in charge of someone's life. You understand what I'm saying? You're in charge of someone's life, but someone is taking it away from you. You don't have control of how day-to-day is going to go. You don't have control of the medication. You don't have control of doctor's appointments or whether or not that person's going to be able to be seen by a specialist. So I'm passionate about that, and I'm passionate about what he did, not per se what he did, but what he stood for, because I can completely understand where he came from and the outrage and how frustrating it can be, to be turned away.
Yes.
Left and right, and watch your loved one go through pain and suffer for nothing. For what? You know what I mean?
Right.
So on that side of it, I get it. Mm-hmm. Now, going out to just like out this man like that, that's not for me. But the whole backstory of why he did it, absolutely,
Yeah, for sure. I want to give credit where it's due. Like, my own father battling multiple illnesses right now, but he was with USPS, United States Postal Service, for 35 years, and they have really facilitated great accommodations along the way with all the surgeries and stuff that he's had. However, to the contrary, his sister, my beloved auntie, she passed away about going to be 15 years this year. We watched her deteriorate really rapidly because she was denied Medicare. Eventually, after like a year, she was able to get Medicaid. But at that point, the cancer had spread to her brain, her bones. So it's really, I understand as well that, Luigi was coming from a place of like compassion, like, wow, how can you sit in a place of position and not resign, even if it's just a job, right? Because some people work on morale and some people just go to work for a paycheck. But how can you operate as a human being knowing that people who have cancer and other ailments are not able to get medications, people that need heart transplants can't get on the donor list? And as a doctor, you try to make them comfortable and you know that you have no control over the actual insurance companies and all that are allowing what is covered versus what's not covered. How can you sit in somebody's face and say, I'm sorry, I know exactly how to heal you and how to fix you. I know what meds you need, but it's not covered.
Yeah.
So you're actually got to go home and die. And it takes me back to like that movie, John Q. It's something like that is so powerful where he was like, fuck all this shit. My son about to get this heart.
Yeah.
Y'all motherfuckers talking about, he's about to get this heart.
Yeah.
And how dare you deny him because of whatever, So yeah.
And to have a company that big and have the name you have, United Healthcare, that speaks. You know what I'm saying? That it's so American. A United Healthcare.
Right.
You think of it that way. You think same thing. United States.
Right.
United. And we don't look at that word enough and really put it into context and put it into play, what that actually means. So, United States, let's take that. People get denied this and that. There's people out here getting denied, their access to this country, and even though they were born here. United Healthcare, there's people being denied their right to get healthcare. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
None of this shit makes sense.
Right. I mean, if you look at it, words are simply words, girl, because we can go back to the days of when they wrote the Constitution. There was probably slaves in the room while they're writing the Constitution. While they're writing the Declaration of Independence, were all men created equal. Oh, really? Come here, bring me my food. Like, what? Come rub my feet. What? It's crazy.
No.
The whole ideology of how this country was founded to begin with was off of a bunch of bullshit. Because none of it is factual. Nothing in the Constitution is factual, not even to this day. Nothing in the Declaration of Independence is factual. And this is going back to the 1700s to now because women are still unequal. People of color are still unequal. I don't see a problem, with EI programs or anything like that. I feel diversity is needed because there's other people that are fully capable of performing the same thing that, certain classes or certain races or certain genders can do. So, it's a crock of bullshit, a lot of the stuff that this country was founded on. So you would hope that by now things have progressed, which of course they have, but
at the same time, it's the regression and progression. It's like two things at once. And it's literally just like playing tug of war.
Yeah,
every single day, And then don't forget we have our friends that, the gender inequality too. Like that is another story, like everybody, it's literally everybody can get it in that sense,
Right.
Everybody's going through some kind of shit and it's not right. But like you said, it's going to take somebody. We've got Luigi. There's going to be somebody else pop up and be like, hello, hi, I'm sick of this shit. Guess what? And take care of business. I don't know how they're going to take care of business, but they're going to take care of business in their own way, if that makes sense.
I just don't know because the way that he did it is not the way. Because killing one, like, first of all, going around shooting people is absurd. Like, should never be excusable, regardless of how you feel. There are other ways that he could have protested or made his voice heard or known. He could have started a petition for cancer patients to, he could have done all kind of other things. He could have spoke ill of, CEOs and all that. Yeah, he could have done that, but you don't have to go around killing people. At the end of the day, that man had a family, children, all that good stuff, So I'm sure he would disassociate work from home life. That doesn't mean or excuse that he's allowing people to be overcharged for medication. But at the same time, you killed a human on the street. Like you shot him like a freaking dog on the street. And we don't even shoot dogs. So what did but to a certain degree, it's like, okay, so there's a lot of people that are in support of him. And I just heard that they raised $320,000 on GoFundMe for his legal defense. So there's a reason why people look at him as like a martyr, like a Robin Hood, I heard some people say he should be deemed a saint one day. There's a lot of people that feel that one day what he did will really be appreciated. And I mean, we can look back on history, with different leaders and stuff and how they were treated versus, eventually they were praised or whatever. But just flat out murdering somebody is not cool under any circumstance. And the flip side of it, with institutionalizing people and killing them, that's not cool either. But for brutality, all that stuff, police brutality, that's not cool either. So either way you look at it, the violence is not the revolution that needs to happen. That's not the way we got to do it. We have to do it a different way to really make an impactful statement.
But you know what? I want to touch on that. So there are definitely, like you said, there are definitely ways to take care, or not take care, but like to start like some noise. And maybe in Luigi's case, he felt like time is against him, because time has been against him. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to do what he needs to do for his mama in a short span of time. Rioting, it takes forever to get like people to get on board. Sometimes it takes forever for things to come into play. You know what I'm saying? That's not just a cool, it's done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think the way he was thinking was, this has got to be expedited. This needs to get taken care of today.
Right.
And that is the only way that he saw for his sense of urgency for that to happen. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that it's right. It definitely isn't right. But maybe in his mind, that was the only way that he could like really shake things up in an instant. You know what I mean?
So you're saying he came from a place of like desperation where he was like,
definitely. It was a place of desperation. It was a place of passion. It was a place of, I can't take this shit anymore, versus let me sit down and, make a plan, if you will. And, a lot of people do stuff in the heat of passion, in the heat of, whatever it is that is making them just want to do that. We watch some murder suicide shows, we watch all them like detective shows. So, and all y'all do too. I know y'all be listening to the podcast. So, it's that spur of the moment that like, ooh, it just ignites, and you just do what you feel, I guess, is what you need to do. And that's what I really feel like in his case, like with the background and the backstory about his mom and everything. So
I hear you, but I think what prosecution will say is, well, he came from money. So, that's always going to be the prosecution's claim. It's like, well, okay, really? He came from money. Mama could be taken care of within an instance. And that he, he just did it for attention, right? That's what they're going to say. And defense will be like, well, no, I mean, yes, he has money, but he's speaking for the people. Regardless of how you look at it, it's still wrong to kill people. But like I said, he has support from all these people for a reason, because I think people are at their breaking point, their wits' end. They feel that what has been done for civil rights and for women's rights and for the rights of people with disabilities, mental disorders, whatever, gay rights, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. They
feel like at a blink of an eye, everything can be reverted. And it's proof, because stuff is in the process of being reverted as we speak. Every couple of years, there's going to be new leadership and new people, whatever. But at the end of the day, there has to be some type of principle that we stand on as a country. Like, what are we willing to tolerate versus what are we willing to not tolerate?
Hey guys, it's Pamela Nicole from Dynasty Queens, and I'm here today to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, socialmediablastoff.net. If you're out here as an entrepreneur, an artist, a model, you name it, and you're trying to get your business off the ground, they got you covered. Whether you're on social media platforms such as Instagram, X, Facebook, or if you're an artist, if you're on wanting to get on platforms such as Spotify, Apple Music, or Amazon Music, socialmediablastoff.net has you covered. Since you're new to the game, go ahead and save 30% on your purchase with socialmediablastoff.net and get your business going. Go ahead and scan that QR code right down here and got you all set. Now, I did also want to touch on, since we're talking about, basic political stuff and like other people's agendas and stuff, a couple years back, with Texas, Roe v. Wade, that was a big thing we talked about a couple seasons ago. I did want to touch on, there was a rally and JD Vance did speak about America having more babies. He's like, babies, we need y'all out here having babies and doing this, for the country. And now Ohio has it where they want, basically, it's going to be a law that they're trying to get into place where when you are, sexually active, you're basically being sexually active to procreate. It's not for any other reason. How are they going to, my question to you is, how are they going to mandate something like that? And then how are you going to set up fines for people? How do you know what people are doing behind closed doors? How are you going to implement something that you literally don't know anything about behind somebody's closed doors,
That's almost, it brings up, and I know it's not related, but it's kind of the same context of like people being arrested for prostitution. How do you get a husband and wife role playing in a hotel bed? And he's like, yeah, baby, the money's right here in the dresser. Like, is the man pimping his wife? Like,
right.
There's a fine line with everything. But honestly, when it comes to that, we know that people have sex for pleasure. People have sex to have a good time. People have sex to release, stress. And, if they like someone, they want to feel on them. Like, everything is not designed just to have a baby or bring children into the world. I think that the creator made sex pleasurable for a reason. Yes, he made it so people want to do more of it to populate the earth. But that ain't the only reason. It was also made for mankind to feel pleasure. In my opinion, this is kind of off tangent. We're going to get back. I feel like the ultimate paradise, I was talking to my hairstylist about this. I feel like the ultimate paradise when we pass away, she said someone explained to her, it's like a cosmic orgasm, like someone who had a near-death experience and came back. It's this ongoing orgasm that doesn't stop.
Okay.
If that's what paradise is like, and then as humans, we're getting little sensory feels of it that may last a couple of seconds here and there. Like, yeah, that's what paradise is. This is what it's like. Bing, 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 stuff like that. When you feel like endorphins and you're feeling happy and euphoria for split seconds or orgasm, people are saying this is what heaven is like. That makes sense to me, right? So right, exactly. So, in that context, it makes sense. But just to say that people are supposed to have sex just to have babies, no, ma'am, no, sir. So good luck to Ohio for trying to dictate people's vaginas and, what they're doing with them, or their penises and what they're doing with them, because good luck with that. And I've always thought, no, I don't, condone prostitution, but I've never thought it deserved to be a crime because it's only because it's not taxable, because it's not a crime in Vegas.
No.
Because guess what? There's a tax on it. So why are the reasons some of these things are illegal anyway? Certain drugs are illegal or have, now stipulations on how many grams or ounces you can have versus prostitution. It's because that particular state is not monetizing off of it. That's period. No one gives a damn or a fuck about who's having sex with who. And if it's for money, no one shouldn't care.
I agree.
Unless you're trying to pick up kids and sex traffic, that's different. If something's being done against a woman's will, that's different. If there's a pimp beating her ass, then I understand the protocol. But if a woman wants to sell pussy on the street, who the fuck cares? If a woman wants to have sex for pleasure and not have a baby, who the fuck cares? It's like...
It's crazy. But you know what, too, like to touch and to add on to that, too, a lot of the younger generation now, I've seen a lot of people out there that are very open and vocal about not having kids, about not bringing new people into this fucked up situation.
Yes.
And continuing a cycle of people growing up into being assholes, And it's crazy because I look at myself and I'm like, I always wanted a family. I wanted to start a family at a young age. That's always like, you grow up, you raise a certain way, you want certain things, and you don't really look at, for me personally, I never looked at what the world could have possibly turned into. I never really looked farther than my nose. I'm like, I know I want a family. I know I want this, you know. I admire these kids today that are like, you know what? No, I'm not doing this shit. Like, I'm not going to bring people into this crazy situation
Right.
and have them suffer for
Yeah.
what?
Right, exactly. Have them suffer for what? That's a lot of people's ideology. Some people feel that they can't bring children into the world until, there's some level of peace in this country, or they feel they have a fair shot at a good life. Like, you have to, I guess, look up to or salute our ancestors, because
Mhm.
during, slavery and stuff, they didn't have a chance. A lot of them were bred. They had to have babies, saw their children get sold off. And then much later, even during segregation, people wanted families. Can you imagine? We don't think like this. A Black family in 1940 living in rural Mississippi, a man and woman fall in love. They want to have a baby. But then they're thinking, damn, the Klan could come knocking on the door any day and just kill us. And they still had families.
Right.
And we still were resilient no matter what. So it's like, I respect it. But at the same time, it's like, we have the way that we've continued as a society is, by being resilient. That doesn't mean everybody is supposed to have kids, but trying to control people's pussies, like I said, and people's, penises.
But like I was again, this is definitely more political propaganda because
Yeah.
yeah, and this may be a little stretch, but we're gonna definitely get into this. The rally that I was mentioning about more Americans. I'll just do it like that. More Americans having
What does
babies.
that mean? What is that? What kind of Americans are supposed to be having babies? And I'm gonna touch my point after you touch yours.
The Americans they're touching on, and I'm not even quoting. You see, I'm just doing my spirit fingers. Those Americans are they're actually talking to the soon to be, or what they would dub to be, the minority of this country. Um, what I find funny is you got 1% Black in you. Guess what? You Black. You don't know for sure unless you're like a Caucasian purist. You have your lineage is just
Right.
Do you really know? Have you done a 23andMe? Do you really, 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 really know what is in your lineage? Do you know that you are just pure Anglo or you're pure whatever it is? You don't.
Exactly.
You have no. You can't. You can take a test. Like I said, you can take 23andMe. All that stuff is great, and they can they can let you know percentage wise and stuff. But at the end, do you really know if you are just completely pure this, that, or the other? This is a mixed nation. There's so many mixed babies out there.
Right.
That is become the majority. So for a person to rally and say Americans need to have more babies, it's because you want to make the minority the majority once again. And that's my 2 cents on that.
I mean, that's very true. I'm gonna touch on my point when way back, but with today America's a melting pot, but they want to make you think that, the past 30 years, no, this country has always been a melting pot. You know why? Because the slave masters were getting down and busy on the plantations, honey. I did my ancestry. I was able to go back to a white man named John who fought in the American Revolution in Pennsylvania. He moved to Opelousas, Louisiana, bought a plantation, impregnated his Black slave. He freed his children, right? They had their freedom papers. And one of the children was my great, 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 great grandfather. So that's just one side. I've traced, but yeah. No, this has been a mixed nation from the beginning, but that's why they had those one drop rules. My mother's side being from Louisiana, I have cousins and stuff that look like Mexican, white, whatever, but they were raised that they were Black because those were the rules that were implemented in those times. If you are mixed with anything other than pure white, you are colored.
Yeah.
So that's what they were considered. It's colored, right? But this has been a mixed country from its inception. And I don't think people understand, like, oh, yeah, the past 40 years, interracial marriage. Girl, before any of that, it's been happening. That's the reason we're all different colors and shades here in this country and in the world now. Like literally, if a lot of your favorites, white celebrities have done the DNA and they're discovering, Johnny Depp discovered that he was part Black, which I'm not surprised. Look at his beautiful cheekbones and stuff like that, and Native American too. A lot of them. Steven Tyler found out he had Black. Okay, look at the lips. I'm not surprised. You can literally look at some people. But I've heard some things. So I've heard that people like Thomas Jefferson knew that he was mulatto, and that's why he was so, And I heard that people like others, like Hitler, that he had Jewish or possibly some Black blood, and that's why he was so proficient on, sometimes it's people that actually have it in them that want to spew the most hate because they hate who they are. And they secretly know who they are. Because that's like, what? Hitler had, what? Right. He was part Jewish or something? Like, whoa, that's wild.
It's disturbing.
It's wild. But everything is perception, because I don't know if you've seen the movie about the lady who actually was, she worked as a medic during World War II, but she was a photographer. Like she was over there for a special assignment for, I think, Vogue, British Vogue or whatever. And she was over there like really in the midst of the World War II era. And she did not respect Hitler for two fucks. You know why? When they like bombarded his apartment, she took her clothes off. She took photos in his bathtub. There's like these famous photos of her like naked in Hitler's bathtub before they even knew he was killed. This was like Hitler was already dead. And this lady is posing like, fuck this man. Like, what? I'm gonna take pictures in his tub. Fuck this man. Like, I was just like, yes, you go, girl. You're my hero. I think Winslet played her in the movie. It's really good. I think it's on Netflix or Hulu, but it's really good. I'm just like, wow, she did not give two flying fucks. She was not afraid of the men. She stood up there like, what is this woman doing on the front line? She says, I'm going to be on the front lines. I need to capture what is really happening. Okay? Because y'all are not telling the folks what is really happening.
Mm-hmm. There's always two sides to every story.
Two sides to every story. So people are, idolize Hitler over there and stuff like that. But it's just like, she was like, I'm not scared of you. No one around. I'm gonna get in your fucking tub, sir. Okay.
And watch me do it. I love it. I love it. Yeah. And like, I wanted to touch too, we were talking about how the United States came to be. And I really don't like how our Native American brothers and sisters don't get as much respect as they should. Because that, to me, they are the Americans. Everybody else is just, they came to this country. Those are the immigrants, the people that were here, the Native American, Cherokee, all of them, the Indians, that is who owns this land. And, and it's so, what I do appreciate about this country is, if you are Native American, what they give you, as far as like going to school and like all the things that you do get to have as a pure American is what I think of it that way. Because honestly, like, the Anglos came in and they took their land and, brought disease here. And, that,
so horrible if you think about it. But at the same time, most of our ancestors were brought here against our will.
Sure.
And something else that Kendrick talked about was the 40 acres and a mule. And I'm looking at a lot of people online, like older white people, like, I understand what he's talking about. One lady was like, they promised African Americans 40 acres and a mule post Civil War. It never happened. But they had something else like the Great Migration and all this stuff where they were giving white folks land to go move to the Midwest to start towns. So it's not a lack of having the money. They just were like, fuck you guys. We're not giving you anything. Mm-hmm. So, that's why some people say, oh, Black people are, do reparations, the same as the natives and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're not respected enough to even get, like we never got our 40 acres of mule. Anything that we ever had, we had to fight for it. We had to just earn it and get it on our own. But I feel for the Native Americans because regardless of whatever the propaganda they want to spread about, oh yeah, they get all these government grants. Most of them are living in poverty on reservations, which to me is like concentration camps. And they're all strung out on heroin and meth and they're cokeheads and crackheads. And they're living in poverty and they're gangbanging because there's no other way out. And it's not even a huge population of pure Native anymore, because a lot of them are probably like some type of Latino at this point, probably have the last name Garcia or whatever. But it's just really sad. I watched a whole documentary about, the natives, and I think was in Minnesota, like St. Paul or something, just like they're just living in complete despair. They're all strung out on drugs. It's like, it's the saddest shit ever.
It's so sad, sis, I mean, like, what do you think? Like, what do you project? I want the Nia projection. Like, what do you think? What do you see the next 6 months looking like? Like, what do you think?
Not even the next 4 years. You say this next 6 months.
Because things are going, girl. It's going. At this point, it's like, okay, we need to like.
I really don't. I don't have an answer, because it's just the most crazy shit is happening right now. It's like you never know what's next. From Onija, the lady who made her appearance in Pakistan and now Dubai, to everything in between. You don't know what is about to happen. Like, it's craziness. I think, I hope that we can kind of get things more on path with, working together and accepting, the leadership we have now to a certain degree, where we can all kind of just make some smart decisions and moves as far as laws being passed and making sure that we're on the same playing field. But if not, then I think craziness and chaos will continue. There's always going to be a headline of someone trying to, do whatever. There's always going to be a headline of officer killing a young Black man. There's all, it's just going to continue. If something that I don't know what the answer would be to change that. We say a new America, the time is here now. But how can we, like I said, how can we really make an impactful change without the violence? We don't want to prove a point. Oh yeah, they're primitive, they're violent. That's all they know. At some point in time, people are just fed up and they're like, enough is enough. We demand, because who the hell are you? Like, if you think about it, who in the hell? Oh yeah, let's keep everyone segregated and this and that, because like, who deemed you the God of all people? Like, what? Or what? Like, it doesn't make any sense how people can feel a superiority over other people for what? It's crazy. It makes no sense. And I think our generation and the ones younger are realizing, like, the fuck? The hell are y'all talking about? Of course, I know, civil rights movement, all that cool stuff, but now we're really like, nah, like, this is crazy. Like, so the more people do that, I feel more bad things will happen. Because unfortunately, that's what it takes to start a rebellion. Cities have to burn, this and that. I'm not saying it's right. I think bloodshed will happen in the next 6 months.
And that's a good view of that, like what you're saying, everything you're saying, absolutely, because I was talking to someone and I said this, the 25 days of Christmas, 12 days of Christmas is going to be the 12 months of Trump. And let me explain that real quick. It was last month in Vegas at the Trump Hotel that Cybertruck blew up you saw that with the fireworks and everything. That right there, that was a message. You know what I'm saying? They could have been at any other hotel, but they chose to do the Trump Hotel. Yeah. That to happen. And things. It's still February. Something can happen anytime, any day, any minute. But I really do truly feel like there is going to be like a 12 months of Trump. Some shit's going to pop off. Somebody's going to just, do something crazy in retaliation to the leader. And it's just going to cause mass chaos. I feel like this is the time where people that want to do something, like the Luigis of the world and, all these other people that are super passionate about their beliefs and super passionate about how the way the world should be, or how America should be rather, that are planning their next move. Honestly, like I really truly feel that in my soul that it's just gonna be a bunch of debauchery.
Yeah, definitely. There's people right now, girl, that are plotting, writing notes, planning the next mass attack. Every time I leave my house, I am on my P's and Q's. I do not trust anybody. You never know.
And you have to. You have to. Unfortunately, it's a sad thing that there's usually safety in arms, and it's just at this point, you have to just kind of look out for yourself in the best way, and even that's difficult to do. So all I can say, sis, is, we got to stick together. We got to be united.
Yes, that's the word. We have to be united. We have to join forces and come together. It's something that it's happened, like I said, over time, it's happened throughout the years, but then we always shift away for whatever reason, I think the closest to it was like, the Black Panthers, they had like school lunch programs and stuff in California, like in Compton, all that stuff back in the 70s. They were really trying to do stuff and make a change. But the propaganda that was spread is that they were, militia and terrorist groups, and I feel that's a word that's also thrown around a lot too.
Yeah.
Communism, terrorism, militia, when it's people trying to uplift the underprivileged.
Agreed.
So I think keywords throughout the years have been used to disguise, real agendas and stuff. If you look at Snowfall, with, all of that, the claims that were made on that show about crack falling from the sky, that's, that is the whole conspiracy. They're saying, the government was, hey, we're going to disperse this to try to eradicate this city. The same way you can look at Tulsa and all that stuff. So I don't know. It's like history will repeat itself. Cities will burn. People will fall. I don't know. Some people say all kinds of, we're in the end of times. People have been saying that for the past 100 years.
Probably longer than sis, But like the most important thing is history always, like you said, always, 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 always repeats itself.
It does.
And it could be good, it could be bad. I mean, I feel that a lot of bad, unfortunately, has to happen to make people kind of show up for each other. You know what I mean? And the people that, what cracks me up is the people that voted wrong, per se, and now they're mad. It's like, I understand you can take people at face value, but some people do stand on business. So, and they are seeing that their leader is standing on business. So,
right.
We just got to do what we got to do and pray, stick together, and just be united. Like I said, like that is, I think, the goal for 2025. Project 2025, we need to be united. Okay.
That needs to be the real project, guys. I feel the same way. I feel that we have to come together. I feel that people should take their leaders for face value. And if anything, you have to respect the fact that the current leader of our country, everything he said he was going to do, he's putting into place. So how could you expect anything different? Like, it's going to cross all types of people, whether you agree with it or not. So it's a matter of educating ourselves for the next political cycle, making sure we make the right decisions, making sure you vote locally as well. Yeah. Because all that stuff can impact, like when it comes to abortion laws and rights, it really, if you look at it, it's a statement at this point. So those kind of rights that for us as human rights and civil rights, please look at your local leadership because they can change the tide. And the senators you put in office can change the tide at the White House. That means that certain bills and laws that are attempted to be put in place can be denied if the popular vote on their end is not, So all of that makes a difference. We have to be prayed up, you guys. Like, at the end of the day, we have to. Mm-hmm. I've always been of the belief that enough good energy can shift the tide, but we have to all come together, like you say, in the project 2025 should be us as united people. Like, that's the only way. So, yeah, that's how I feel. But you guys, this has been a very insightful episode. So I hope you guys understand and appreciate this one because, we have a lot to say. We have our own beliefs and opinions. And of course, we want you guys to share. So please subscribe to the page if you already are not. And just make sure that you leave some comments. Tell us how you feel about this topic. I know it's controversial, but hell, our world is controversial.
Yeah, and let's start a conversation.
Try to start a conversation. So once again, in closing, I am your girl, Nia J, and I'm with my beautiful, beautiful co-host,
Pamala Nicole.
And this time,
Dynasty Queen.